Seems like San Francisco real estate is not doing as well as people expected, because when you have such a big building like this on the market, $54 million, seriously, that's a very cheap price. I mean, some cities, $54 million only really get you like a little penthouse. Like if you go to Manhattan's Midtown, $54 million gets you like maybe a 7,000 square feet condo, and you get like the whole floor to yourself. Unlike this building, we could literally buy what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, like 12 different stories in a very good place in San Francisco. This is what I call like the high-end AAA rating office area, and they're selling this massive building for just $54 million. Is something unheard of in many massive cities around the world. Like if you go to Singapore, for example, $54 million only gets you like a little bungalow, right? If you go to Miami, $54 million maybe gets you like a triplex. But in San Francisco, apparently gets you like a whole entire building and one of the best blocks. So look at this. This is from a capital venture partner firm. They pretty much are tired of this building. This building is a massive money pit. And apparently the previous deal dissolved because I guess the previous buyer just didn't really want to buy the building. We're not really sure what the previous deal was and what the price was, but I guarantee you it's probably way lower than before, or else they can't sell these, right? The outlook for San Francisco office real estate is absolutely terrible. So bad to the point that some big landlords like these guys are willing to sell massive buildings like these for a fat loss instead of holding on to them for the next few years to see how San Francisco pans out. In fact, a lot of these big companies like Blackstone, one of the America's biggest landlords, they don't want to stay here because the crime and theft is so crazy that so many businesses are moving out, which pretty much makes San Francisco's office space and retail space probably one of the worst, not just in the US, probably in the whole entire world. And right now, you even have some of the biggest events, like the upcoming Google convention, the IBM Red Hat convention, all moving to places like Las Vegas, which is traditionally not a tech hub. It's more of a gambling hub, but hey, Las Vegas has some of the biggest and best startups in the tech world that's located there. So yeah, this whole entire building being sold for $54 million is unheard of. And this isn't like a bad building by any means, right? We're looking at 180 Howard Street. This is a pretty high-end neighborhood, and like I said before, a lot of these buildings go for a lot of money. This is essentially like near the Charles Schwab building. And look at this. You're right next to the water, the San Francisco Bay. You even got a park. And pretty much if you're very close to like the Fremont building or the Salesforce building or close to the water, it's generally very expensive offices. In fact, some of San Francisco's most expensive condos are actually in this district. So the mere fact that I see such a high-end skyscraper like this selling for pennies on the dollar really makes you wonder, what about this building right here? Because this is literally Charles Schwab's HQ. Charles Schwab is headquartered in this building, and they even recently downgraded their offices from 17 stories down to 6 stories. And makes you wonder, how cheap are the rest of these buildings here? You see that massive, really nice looking skyscraper? How much is this building worth? This is easily like an $800 million to a $900 million building. But maybe now it's only worth $300, $400 million. Look at the Salesforce building. People say that this building is worth $1.31 billion. Is it worth 1.3 B? Probably not. Might be worth half price, like $500 million, $400 million. So you get the idea. Many of these shareholders and the people who invested in San Francisco real estate are literally sweating bullets right now. Not to mention how terrible the banks feel. Many of these buildings and leases are financed by small regional banks, which are honestly taking some of the heaviest losses. Many of these banks just hope that San Francisco real estate will finally get some office workers coming back, but apparently no office worker is sane enough to come back to the city, especially with the record crime levels. I mean, look at this. This is the former Airbnb office sells for a huge discount. Another building selling for 50% off. And it's not even a bad neighborhood. Like, it's one thing if the building's in a bad neighborhood, but it's another thing when the building is in a very pristine, high-end neighborhood, and you just can't seem to like sell this for a good price. Like 600 Townsend East. This isn't a bad place, right? This used to be like the headquarter of Airbnb, but even Airbnb is like, yeah, we're kind of done with this building as well. So it's around this area, which is not bad. The transportation's great. You're pretty close to Mission Bay. You're pretty close to the Mission District, and you're just a stone's throw away from like downtown San Francisco. You also got some pretty cool parks as well. This is nice, right? This is also where Adobe is also headquartered. Look at this. Adobe's here, right? Airbnb used to be here. This is supposed to be a place of massive amounts of tech companies. You're next to a railroad station. Transportation is great. So like, how can this building be sold for 50% off is beyond me. But apparently with the high crime and high drug use, selling for 50% off, some people even say it's too expensive. Where else in the country do you see massive buildings like these being sold for 50% off? I can't even get 50% off on Black Friday, but you can apparently get 50% off in the office department in San Francisco. And this is like a big company too. Like companies like Blackstone, they have enough money to go through any sort of recession or depression. But apparently with San Francisco, I think the laws and the way to run things are just so terrible. They kind of know that it's probably not changing anytime soon. San Francisco will most likely be the same old city as the decades move forward. And I think with it deteriorating at a speed of this level, and there's already budget cuts in the police department and the healthcare sector, almost $30 million a pop, and a total of $200 million in budget reduction of San Francisco, just so they won't go to budget deficit, is causing many of these big guys like Blackstone to just totally move out the city. They're kind of done. They don't want to stay here. And it's not just these guys, right? Even Wells Fargo sold their building for like 60% off, even though they bought it like a full decade ago. Imagine having like a decade of buying a building, hoping the price will go up, and then the day you sell it for like 60% below what you paid for back like a decade ago. It's pretty terrible. And it just shows you that, people are getting robbed on a constant basis, right? Look at this, a stationery store a few doors down managed to stay open despite Staples and Amazon, but eventually they all moved out because there's so many robberies, right? Look at this. That is crazy. Like, people just take out razor blades or detergent and just run out. Like, people have been robbed in the city. Homelessness and crime is at an all-time high. You got drug addicts everywhere. And the city just doesn't care. The city just slaps little band-aids here and there. And the only times it really cares now because there's like a massive APEC event. And that's really about it. So these buildings and these massive landlords, they know what's going on. They know what's up. They would much rather take the 50% loss than wait to see if the price will one day come back up. Because guess what? I can tell you that price will only going to keep going down. Leases are at an all-time low, right? The only companies moving in is like OpenAI. But you have like tens of millions of square feet being completely empty. And also you also have like big tech companies, I guess I shouldn't call tech, but like glorified landlords like WeWork used to have millions of square feet in the Bay Area, is suddenly now going bankrupt. Co-working spaces no longer are popular. People much rather move online and work online. And we're seeing a drastic shift from the office culture to a more online culture. And it's pretty funny, right? Because the whole reason why we got Zoom and online work being so popular is because of big tech. Big tech is pushing it despite big tech's love for San Francisco. But now they don't love it anymore. And many people are much rather move online, work online. And some, they make more money online and have a much better work and life balance than people who just strictly stay in the offices. So this is what's happening here. San Francisco allows 150,000 office workers, which is a lot. People used to commute over 2 hours to get to the city. Now nobody's coming here anymore. And tourism is at an all-time low, which is pretty sad. Thanks for watching, guys. See you later.